I wasn't blaming you. I was saying someone.
No, he was.
No, I wasn't.
You said it's him.
I said it was you.
Yeah, you're blaming me.
Yeah, because it's always you. It's always you.
He said, I'm not blaming him. I said, yeah, he is. You said, no, I'm not.
Oh, I thought you were blaming me. No, I'm blaming you. Always first to blame.
You done? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Sean Anderson, Most Valuable Podcast, and the upcoming segment is from our full Fast Break podcast that we recorded. And if you do want to check out that full podcast, head over to Blog Talk Radio /The Fast Break. You'll be able to find the full podcast over there.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And yes, I sound like a smoker. Don't worry about it. There's no reason why. We're today talking about...
Don't worry about it. It's not your problem.
We're talking about the crazy NBA playoffs. We're talking about Bucks. We're talking Bulls. And we're talking Paul George 13. Not Paul George 13, PG-13. I don't know what I'm talking about. Paul George. We're talking about Paul George possibly leaving Indiana after the season because this Cavs series, it's 3-0 right now as of recording this, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen, and it's looking like Paul George, obviously before, wanted to leave Indiana, so I don't think this playoff series is going to help. But let's get into the Milwaukee Bucks first. I have a 2-1 lead as of recording this right now against the Toronto Raptors, and I'm not saying it's all because of Giannis Antetokounmpo, but Giannis Antetokounmpo, I would say, is the next best star in the NBA. We already had the topic discussing, is Milwaukee going to limit his superstardom? But like I said, if they make the playoffs, he makes a splash, I don't think that's going to be a problem. And so far, I mean, that guy's dunking while also touching the crowd. Does Giannis make the Bucks the next best team in the Eastern Conference, Dave?
I think he does. It's scary. I mean, this guy really does it all. He's almost leading the team in every category as it stands. And just,
well, he did in the regular season.
He did in the regular season, and I think the playoffs probably give you a little bit of the same. But like, he's just an absolute freak, and what he can do on the court and the intensity it brings and the up tempo and just all around, like there's nothing bad to say. And the only thing that like I'm looking forward to is like if this kid learns to shoot from the outside, like there's nothing he can't do. He's literally one of the scariest players in the NBA.
I don't even know if he needs to really learn how to shoot threes. Because,
I mean, he takes it in, and you can't stop him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that shoots like 28%, at least in the regular season. But even last game, he went 2 for 2 from 3. So, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's something that maybe he'll just find his rhythm because he's only 22. I mean, there's something where Giannis might be able to be the best player in the NBA in the coming future. I mean, obviously, LeBron James will probably still hold that.
He's going to be fading out, though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like
he's getting older.
A 22-year-old Giannis versus a 33-year-old LeBron James.
Yeah, Ricky, I know you're a Bulls fan. Do you agree that the Bucks might be the best team in the Eastern Conference coming up?
I want to lean towards no. And when I say no, it's not like one of those things where all the Bucks are garbage, and it's just one of those things where I want to point back to last season where we were, before this podcast, kind of looking over our playoff predictions. We all thought that the Pistons were going to take a next step this year.
Yep.
They obviously did not. Now, the big thing that's not the same in these two situations, this Bucks team has a guy like Giannis. The Pistons don't have that. I mean, Andre Drummond.
Yeah, but not a player like Giannis.
That's a center, Dave, not a guy who can handle the ball.
I know.
Not a guy that's an inch shorter.
But
Dave, Giannis isn't Andre Drummond. Get that through your head, man.
The thing that, I look at with this team is there are so many factors in the East right now. Because really it's, when we say the next best team, the team right below the Cavs, obviously, it's the thing. The Celtics, how are they going to rebound in the next season?
They also have the number 1 pick.
Washington Wizards look to be on the upcline this year, especially with Beal being healthy.
And Otto Porter making huge strides.
And Beal and Wall and Porter are all super young.
The Raptors, it's
the trash bros in the playoffs.
Right now, what the Bucks are going through with them is they're up 2-1, but it's one of those things where in a regular season, can they do enough to be ahead? Because this Bucks team this year, remember, and I know the big thing everyone's going to say is, but Ricky, they don't have Jabari right now, and they
didn't have Chris early.
They're up 2-1. Yeah, they didn't have Middleton early, but without Middleton and with Jabari, this team was only 23-30. So they weren't a winning record team with Jabari. Now I know they didn't have Middleton on the court as well. So it was like they traded one for another.
Which helped, it helped their spacing, unfortunately, I like to say. But having Jabari and Giannis, like they both live at the rim. I mean, there's no denying that. Chris helps stretch out the floor a little bit better for him, but I mean, when you have those three guys healthy and you have guys stepping up like Thon Maker, who, yeah, we joke and laugh about him all season, but
the 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
Who had 10 fouls in the summer league.
Still 40 years old.
But the length accounts for so much in the defensive presence, which we did not really expect. I mean, this early to see out of him. He was known for his offense coming out. And then come on. They've just overperformed from what we all expected. And
I just think that
Brogdon even.
This is
one of the stories of the year.
The president's been great.
Yep.
The POTUS has been great. That's what I'm calling Brogdon right now. But
that's what everyone's calling
the thing is, one of, I think, and I don't want to overhype the Bucks.
You didn't create the president.
I didn't say I did.
That's what I'm calling him now.
No, I'm calling
the Bucks fans have been calling him all season.
Calling him POTUS instead of president.
Whatever.
Just a different inflection on it. It's okay, Sean. It's okay. But
it doesn't even make sense. He's not even the president.
That's why I said that's what I'm calling him right now. But I have this weird feeling that it's like, oh, the Bucks are the next best team, and then I have a feeling they might do what the Pistons did when it's next year and we get to next year, because we don't know what's going to happen with the other teams. And I look at the Celtics, Raptors, and Wizards, because to me, if I had to pick the next best team in the East right now, I'm looking at that healthy Wizards team, and I'm going, they're the ones I would pick.
I don't know about that. I mean, I look at this, and you talked about the kind of the lack of with Giannis and Parker on the floor, but really that only happened until mid-January, and then they went on a bad skid. They were 20 and 18, and then went on a bad skid all the way until like early February, where they ended up 21 and 28. But then, you see around March, that's when Middleton came back and he started performing. And that's without Jabari. And we talked about when Jabari went down, obviously it's going to be depending on how he returns back from that ACL tear, because that's not an easy injury to come back from.
Second one.
Especially the second one, yeah. I mean, you look at that. I mean, you see Giannis, who is a playmaker in his own. I would probably say that he's the second best player in the Central Division right now behind LeBron James. I'd say he's better than Jimmy Butler, and I'd say he's better than Paul George, because no player like Giannis can do what he does. I mean, a 6'11" guy who dominates points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. He can become one of the best defenders in the NBA if he's not already there. He's a guy that he can take it to you at the rim, and if he can improve his shooting and go to the rim and then get fouls on him and then hit those free throw shots. I mean, Giannis is a guy that can take over games, and I even look at this team around him. I mean, Tony Snell has turned into a sharpshooter from the outside because of the opportunities Giannis creates. So then if you imagine adding Middleton, Tony Snell, who are two great shooters with Giannis on the floor, Jabari Parker, who can drive the swing, they need a big in there, and I think a guy like Lauri Markkanen would be phenomenal on that team, because then if you have, I don't know, obviously it's not possible because that guy's going to go in the top 10 and the Bucks aren't going to have a pick there, but even then, Thon Maker is a guy that's been able to show his ability from range. So can Thon be the next guy? There's a lot of moving pieces here with the Bucks, and I look at that Wizards team, and I see Beal, Wall, and Porter, and those three are phenomenal. But then I got to look at the Bucks side. And I would say that I don't know who exactly is better. I mean, John Wall's a phenomenal point guard, probably the best point guard in the Eastern Conference. But then Giannis versus John Wall, that's a tough debate there. I'd say Bradley Beal's better than Middleton or Parker, but then I would both take Middleton and Parker over Otto Porter. So I think it's tough when Parker's healthy. Obviously, it depends on that. If he can return
healthy.
But Middleton's a great scorer. He's a good defender. He's got decent passing as well. I mean, obviously he's been moving the ball and facilitating the ball in the playoffs so far. Yep. I would have to look at the three there, and then you also have to look Delly off the bench. Tony Snell's a good 3-point shooter. Thon Maker, as much as shit we gave him through the season.
Oh, he's been huge defense. Team Wingspan, we weren't kidding. Like, they're just ridiculous because their arms are
I keep forgetting
everywhere.
Brogdon as well.
Yeah. Again, they're a super young and super fun team to watch, and I think that what we're seeing now is, like, no offense, but I think it's overachieving for them, because I don't think any of us expected them to be able to take it to the Raptors in the playoffs like this. The complete defensive shutdown of DeMar DeRozan, who had been, the OG shooting guard from the past. That mid-range game was lethal. And then Lowry just absolutely looking out of place. It's kind of interesting to see how much the defensive prowess of the Bucks can take it to them.
I don't know if they're overachieving or if the Raptors are just underachieving.
I think the Raptors are
it's a little bit of both, but the Raptors have they're kind of known for in the last couple years of shitting their pants in the playoffs.
Well, it's one of those things you think about. I think with the Raptors last year, who was the one player that gave them a spark, not just emotionally, but in every sense of the word, after a key player ahead of him went down with an injury? Hint, he's no longer on the team anymore.
I can't think.
Bismack Biyombo. Who's the one player?
He had one good game.
Wait, Sean, just wait.
One good game.
Wait for my point.
72
I'm
million.
I'm gonna throw you up a meatball here. Who's the one player that when I was talking to you about the Raptors Bucks series who isn't playing that well and the Raptors aren't using correctly? You said. Who's down low for them?
Center.
Oh,
Valanciunas. That is the Raptors' problem. It's in the series when you have a team that is as big as the Bucks and you have your center not playing well, and it looks to me like they're trying to go through Lowry and DeRozan, but you ain't going to be able to do that very often when you got guys as big as Giannis, Maker, Brogdon with his defense going at you in a game of 7.
But even then, I mean, Greg Monroe's been able to beat up down low. I mean, Greg Monroe has looked like a guy that's worth that contract.
Moving him to the 6-man role has really been beneficial. He can dominate the second team out there, and I think that honestly, the reason that they can't keep Valanciunas in there is just pace of the game. Like watching the fast break of, Thon gets a block at one end, dumps it straight off to Giannis, and Giannis is down the court in 4 steps, and it's in. It's like you can't keep up with that. You can't leave a big in the game. The problem is Milwaukee has very lean bigs, so they're tall but they're long. They don't have the problems that someone like Valanciunas has, where the game speed has to slow down because you're in there.
Yeah, I think I look at this team and I think there's no way that they can't not. I don't think they're gonna be like the Pistons that fails. What I'm saying, like I think I was shitting on Jason Kidd too much. I think I was looking at this team and I thought only Giannis, but I think Giannis is a player that has shown that he can make his teammates better. And this isn't like a Russell Westbrook where he might be chasing stats. Giannis is just doing this naturally, I think. And I'm not trying to put down Russell Westbrook's achievements or anything, but I think there was something I read about Russell Westbrook once he hits a certain plateau of assists or rebounds. He slows down the pace and he starts chucking up more and more, where Giannis is still more about the team. And I think Giannis, his ability to be a leader, I think is something that goes unnoticed, and his length, again, we talk about it, and you say 4 steps down the court. I mean, it's so hard for he's going to be the best player in the East coming soon. He's only 22 years old and doing this right now. Giannis is someone that he's a matchup nightmare, and I think the only person that can stop him right now, at least defensively, I think it's like Kawhi Leonard. It's a handful of guys.
Kawhi, Kevin Durant, guys who can match him for length and speed.
Draymond could do it just because Draymond's such a good defender, and he can put a body on him because he's not really afraid of backing down from anyone. I think LeBron could as well, just because LeBron is
playoff LeBron. If he wants to do it, he's going to do it. It don't matter.
And I think Paul George can limit him, and Jimmy Butler too. But those are elite defenders right there. I mean, those are guys that are
all defense.
All defense. I mean, I look at Giannis, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of an answer for him. And then I just look at what are the Bucks going to be able to do in free agency, coming up. And I look at, they're going to be losing, or Tony Snell's going to be an RFA after this season. Beasley's contract's getting dumped, and Terry's contract's getting dumped. They have a lot of cap room as it is. I mean, I look at this, and Greg Monroe's still going to be there, but he might have a player option, I think. But looking at he does have a player option. But looking at this, there's a player like JJ Redick. He's out there. You had more shooting in this team. This team might get more deadly because again, spacing kills it for Giannis and Parker, and then Middleton obviously brings that as well. I look at this and I don't think there's a way that they can't be, because, like we said, the Pistons don't have that superstar.
Right.
LeBron obviously is still going to be there, but then again, is Kevin Love still going to be 100%? Is Kevin Love going to be able to be that much of a factor? I'm not trying to put down LeBron, but again, this is a regular season. Boston is the number 1 seed here, so I think that the Bucks have something going, and I think the Bucks are truly a team to watch out for in the East, because they're a team that's pretty much there already. I mean, you look at the 76ers, they're a team that has a while to go until they're actually there. The Nets are, the Nets have a lot of, I don't know.
They're missing a lot of pieces.
I don't know why I'm bringing up the Nets. The Celtics are another team, though.
The interesting one that I was thinking of is like them and the Timberwolves kind of started off roughly the same time period for, okay, this is when we're going to get our core together. I think Giannis was drafted a year before. Wiggins, yeah. But either way, like they both have built up their cores young, and where we all thought the Timberwolves were going to be, an 8th seed in the West, and they weren't able to do that. I know there was the injury to Levine, but the other hand, there's the Bucks in the East, and they had Milton out for half a year and Jabari for the other half. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the interesting thing is we all had Cat is the best big man and but Giannis probably got overlooked.
It's funny though that you bring it up because the Timberwolves have two shots at getting Giannis Antetokounmpo because at 9 they took Trey Burke and traded him to Utah, and right before that at 14 Utah had the pick and picked Shabazz Muhammad, who then is now in the Timberwolves. That's funny that the Timberwolves could have gotten a guy like Giannis, but
there was so much hype around Muhammad though coming out. Shabazz
and Giannis was just a blank canvas.
Yeah, Giannis was big. And there was some stuff about it. It's very similar to Thon, too.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's another thing that kind of goes into that. I mean, comparing to me the T-Wolves and the Bucks, I don't really like to do that because, I mean, the conferences are different.
I understand that.
If we look at the Bucks at 42 and 40, they're an 8 seed right now in the West, and they're the 6. I know it's like, ooh, Ricky, it's only 2 spots, but this team is at a crossroads. And when I say a crossroads is they can either go one of 2 directions at this point. They can either go up and continue to grow, or they can go down. And the thing that would make them go either up or down is what Dave said. They are a young team, and with young teams, you usually get a little bit of inconsistency. Like you said in the season, they played good, and then they had that 7-game stretch. That's a young team to me.
But we've also talked about it where, 7-game stretch. I mean, the fucking Cavs went what? They had the worst March and April. I mean, they were as good as the Nets in March and April. What I'm saying
year for the Cavs, though, has been more of a hangover, if anything.
What I'm saying, I don't believe that.
I think so. I think Cleveland gets their first title.
I think hangover's a poorly misused. I think people are just like, well, that's what we're calling it. I think that just
it's a very different team than it was when they won the championship.
I also just don't think the Cavs wanted to be there. JR, I think they were complacent more than it was a hangover.
Yeah.
But the thing,
that's what I mean by a hangover. It's like, they don't have that same drive that they did last year.
I think
because they have the title.
I think that's just a stupid fucking term. But the thing, I think they just knew that they were going to be there, so why try? But I think the thing with at least comparing the Pistons and the Timberwolves to the Bucks is the Bucks have their point guard. We've mentioned this. The ball handler is the most important part.
Well, they have their point forward.
Yeah, ball handler in general is the most important part with these teams. Ricky Rubio isn't that set guy in Minnesota. Chris Dunn was not a good player this year. You look at Detroit as well. There's problems with Reggie Jackson this year, and he wasn't able to be the same guy he was in the playoffs. So there's questions at the most important position, at least now, of being the ball handler. So I look at this, and Giannis is that guy, and Giannis is their best player. So that's the thing that makes me more inclined to say the Bucks are going to be the best next team in the East, a team that can be a top 4 seed, a top 2 seed, compete with LeBron and the Cavs for multiple years. And once the Cavs take over, Giannis is still going to be, hitting his prime, like 27, 28. I mean, that's scary to think of. I mean, I look at this Bucks team, and that's why I have more of an ability to say this team's going to be the next best team because, again, you look at the Pistons, they only had Stan Van for, 2 years? You look at the Timberwolves is the first time with Thibodeau. You look at the Bucks, and Jay Kidd's been there for a while. Jay Kidd's instilled his mentality, and then he's been able to grow Giannis with him. This is Tibbs now taking over a cat who played for Flip Saunders. This is a Wiggins who played with Flip Saunders for 2 years. Reggie Jackson came over from OKC midway through the city, so he didn't have a full season with him. And same with Drummond as well. Drummond, this was pretty much a second season with Drummond. So I look at this, and there's been more of a culture being able to set up. And maybe that's because Giannis was picked earlier in 2013, but that's something where I think that the Bucks are headed in a great direction right now, and I don't want to say I'm sorry to Milwaukee fans for pissing them off in that Giannis superstar thing because I was technically right because I said if you make the playoffs, it doesn't matter because national eyes are going to see him, and national eyes are seeing Giannis right now. And
when you can block somebody at the rim with your elbow. Yeah, you get a little bit of attention.
The highlights he's putting up in the NBA
it's just
stupid.
Ridiculous.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
I think that they're truly the next best team in the East, and that's because a majority is to Giannis, but I'm not saying this team is poorly. And I think that getting to the second round is going to be a big step to them because whatever they can do past the Raptors, if they get past the Raptors, is going to be big. Whether they take on a team like
they're taking on Cleveland.
If they'll take on
Cleveland's not going to lose 4 straight.
It's what they do against
Cleveland. That'd be a great matchup to see if they do make it to the second round. Watching that LeBron Giannis showdown and kind of seeing all right, you're 22, he's 32, 33. Like, let's see how they go down one-on-one and see how it goes. I think that's like an awesome measuring stick game and measuring stick series, for that matter of fact. I think that you're right, Sean, and if they add some veterans this offseason to kind of mesh and smooth out this roster, they're legit scary. I'm still leaning towards Washington if they can work out all the contract situations this coming offseason and retain enough people. I think they're still my fave. I think we're probably shitting on the Celtics a little bit because they're getting exposed right now.
But
I'm not shitting on the Celtics because I would still put, like, right now, my top 3 in the East in no particular order after the Cavs, because the Cavs are obviously one.
So you're saying going into next season?
Yeah, right now.
So like the 2017, 2018 season.
At this point in time, I would still have the Celtics and the Wizards as 2 and 3, and then maybe the Bucks ahead of the Raptors because the Raptors are getting exposed by the Bucks. But the thing about the playoffs that's interesting too is the season is different because you get these random games. It's a different element when you get A, playoff basketball, and 2, you see a team for 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a 7-game series.
It's something we've known for a while. I think it's something basketball fans have known for a while. If you have the best player on the court, you will be able to. You can win.
Yeah.
And the Bulls are seeing that right now with the Celtics. Yeah. You're seeing that with LeBron, obviously, since the dawn of time. Paul George made it close because he's such a great player. But then you look at the ability, DeRozan slacking off and Lowry slacking off. They're not bad players or anything, but Giannis
it's just a tough. And the other thing is like, it's matchups, and that's why I love.
That's why the Celtics are getting exposed.
Exactly, playoffs
exposed.
NBA playoff is a different sport than the NBA regular season. They may play the same game with the same rules, but it's a different sport entirely.
Well, you get different minutes. Like,
people, that's the whole thing.
Like,
and it's a matchup. And you play the same team for a series of games. You have time to prep. You have time to plan. You have time to scheme for things. And that's why you see so much more. And there's so much more to like about this team. Getting to watch them in a series, getting to see them, all right, how are they going to knock out one of the most offensive shooting guards in the league? How are they going to knock out Kyle Lowry, who has been... even though he hasn't been the offensive force, he's been actually running the team on the low. So it's like
a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I got 2 things that I want. Like, this is kind of my final thoughts on this. Is one, moving past this season, the big thing that's going to answer this question that we've asked is, can the Bucks be healthy? Can Middleton, Parker, and Giannis stay healthy? All be on the court at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, one thing for Giannis, he's a guy that doesn't deal with injuries yet. But
I'm talking about Middleton and Parker and how's Parker going to come back. Number 2, and I know this segment is posting as the day of the next game for Raptors Bucks, but Game 4 is going to be huge in that series because if they beat the Raptors and go up 3-1, then it leans a little bit towards, they might be the next best team in the East. But if they lose and go back 2-2, then we're back in a boat of, whoa, maybe we got a little bit too ahead of ourselves. That's going to be the conversation.
I agree, and that's what I hate about NBA basketball is the fact that, like, I'm basing this off of what I've seen throughout the season, what I've seen from Giannis, and what I've seen in the playoffs.
If Game 4, if they lose and it goes 2-2, it's going to be like, whoa, we got a little bit too ahead of ourselves.
If they get blown out and Giannis goes like
they're not going to get blown out.
No, what I'm saying, if they get blown out, no one thought the Raptors were going to get blown out as they did in Game 3.
It's true.
If Giannis goes 1 of 12 in Game 4, people are going to be like, oh, we solved the problem of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, no, you fucking didn't. Like, calm down. It was one game. Like, that's something where you look at the NBA media and something that we blow out of proportion.
Might be a little hot take.
I'm looking at the star in Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm looking at his ability to make his teammates better. I'm looking at maybe he's hiding the flaws of Jason Kidd. Maybe he's hiding the flaws of some players. Giannis is that good, and I think if Giannis is healthy, Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. And I think we've known that, and I think that we just kind of have a hard time to accept it because
the amount
Milwaukee.
He's grown each year too kind of crazy.
Well, and now he's kind of he's found his game as point guard. He's found his game where he's not forced to be a small forward.
Yeah. His first 4 years in the league, it was like 6.8, 12.7, 16.9, 22.9, and then same thing, rebounds up, assists way up, and it's just a cross board, blocks, steals, everything. He's just continued to grow and continue to beat expectations, and it's just kind of like, all right, if he keeps it this way, like, where's the stopping point?
He can be bigger than Draymond Green, at least lengthwise. He can be.
I was waiting for the big like Clay, quick like Steph.
He got kind of toasted.
He can be bigger than Draymond Green and Kawhi Leonard, and he's longer than Kawhi and Draymond. And you've seen his ability to defend.
Yep.
I mean, he could be the best defender in the league, and also being the most dominant force on an offense in I don't know, NBA history. I mean, maybe not that, but because his shooting's poor, he's not going to be Jordan or
he is going to train this offseason with Dirk's personal coach.
How about this? He could be the most athletic or most dynamic player we've seen as an offensive weapon because 6'11", with his wingspan, his passing ability, it's unreal. I mean, we haven't seen a big man like this play basketball. Yeah. I mean, this is what Ben Simmons hopes to be. That guy's like, what, 6'11" now? I mean, this is what...
Suppose like 7'1" now.
Yeah, this is what Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid hope to be. Giannis is doing it. He's 22.
And you want to know the big difference from Giannis to the two players that you both named?
Healthy.
Giannis has been healthy, and that's why he's been able to consistently grow. The one final thing, kind of to go back to the point of Raptors Bucks, is the reason why I come out and say, well, the Raptors are gonna blow out the Bucks is because the only win in this series was a 6-point win where the Raptors needed both of their point guards, their guards, to go 20-plus points. They needed Ibaka and Valanciunas to get 10 and 16. And Antetokounmpo, but 24 points, but shot 9 of 24 in that game.
See, that I think I agree there, but then I see they also shot 47% from three. I think that's a game that we should expect. Toronto's the
normal
13th.
Season game. Yeah.
This is DeMar DeRozan, who was one of the best scorers in the regular season. Yep. This is Kyle Lowry, a top point guard in the Eastern Conference. This is Serge Ibaka, a guy that we said might change the Eastern Conference completely when he's traded over. A great defender in his own right. Valanciunas, you mentioned him. When he's going, he's a guy that can go 10 for 10. I mean, DeMar Carroll, at best, he's a good perimeter defender. I think that the Raptors aren't a bad team. I don't think the Raptors are out of this. I just think I'm looking towards the future. Bucks have probably the most upside of any team in the Eastern Conference.
For me, Game 4 is the pivotal one. If Game 4 goes to the Raptors, we have a series. If the Bucks win Game 4, it's over. Cavs-Bucks in the next round then.
I agree with that.
Side note, two awesome perks for Milwaukee. I just want to give you credit. One, the Barney the Dinosaur intro for the Raptors was just gold.
They got a new stadium coming too.
And two was they were the ones who started the Warriors hype train, Oh, guess who's a Warriors fan since 2015?
Oh, yeah, and they also they also stopped the 24-game win streak back in 2014. Anyways, quick Bulls score update. Celtics lead 88-73. That makes my heart happy with 6:31 left in the fourth.
Thank you. Oh, shit. It's just one of our videos scared me a little bit. Don't forget to check out that one. And also don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.